Welcome to the Thriving Misfits, the podcast where we celebrate resilience, embrace diversity, and challenge norms. I'm your host, Fiona Young, and today's guest is someone who brings passion, personality to everything he does, especially when he's behind the bar. I'm thrilled to welcome my personal friend, Kai, bar manager at the award-winning Quinary in Hong Kong. Born and bred in Germany, but quick-witted like a true Hong Konger, Kai blends the best of both worlds. And with F&B in his blood, it's no surprise he's become such a natural behind the bar. Equal parts showman, craftsman, and storyteller. So get ready to hear more about his journey, his passion for never wasting good alcohol, and why a classic martini is still his go-to drink after a really long day. So let's dive in, and this is going to be an extremely fun one. So hi, Kai.
Hi, hello Fiona. Hey everybody. Thanks for having me at the Thriving Misfits, and long time no here. So I'm glad to be here and talk a little bit about my experience.
Absolutely. Now, the audience would like to, of course, hear a little bit more about you and to get to know you better. So let's kick it off with an icebreaker question. So if you could invent a cocktail that represents your personality or your life story, what would it be called and what would be in it?
Well, I would call it, that's difficult. I mean, I do have a drink which I have a lot of memories with it. It's Martinez. Actually, it's a classic drink which I actually made it in one of my old places where I used to actually start in Frankfurt. Called what I did actually is with rum. I like it a little bit sweet, it's a small sweet palate. I think that's where actually my real journey actually starts with seriously doing cocktails and being passionate about it. That's actually the drink, and I don't really have a name for it. I mean, it's a bit boring. Probably I would call it the art of consistency or something like that. Because I think in the end it's all about that consistency and about everything. Sounds very cheesy, but it is.
Right on.
All
right. Now, you and I have known each other for, I think, almost a decade.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever.
Few years.
I don't think we ever actually lived in the same city because when we first met, you were on holidays with a friend. We both have a mutual friend, in fact. That's how we got to know each other. And then we were bar hopping. And whenever we meet each other, you will always introduce the best places, the best spots, or even invite me and my friends to your bar. So you and we also have a very similar background, cultural background. You grew up in Germany, and you also come from a family of F&B professionals. I guess it's very common for Chinese immigrants in Germany to actually have a Chinese restaurant. So what were your earliest experiences around alcohol and hospitality?
The earliest, I mean, I will just speak freely of that. I mean, the thing is, when I first touched alcohol, let's put it that way, the age wasn't really illegal, but I mean, I don't mind it anymore. But it was great. I mean, it was about hanging out with my friends, just having a good time, just have something just to have fun, listen to music. And I think that was my first really time, early days to how I get to alcohol in that case. And my family has a restaurant and stuff like that, and it's a very typical thing, right? As you said, it's restaurant, F&B, Chinese restaurant, whatever. So that's how I actually kind of feel okay, F&B is actually kind of good thing because I like to socialize. Guys, I think you gotta realize I'm gonna talk a lot. So, please bear with me. I like to socialize, network, and meet new people. That's how I actually, got into it and felt okay, that's like a career path I want to actually proceed with.
Right. I mean, I remember when I was not even 10 years old, I would see all the wine bottles just, piling up at home because it's partially also an additional space to stock up, right? And didn't seem to be very special to me when I was young. So it was almost like a normalized way to see alcohol because it's always laying around. And me and my brother weren't really curious about it. Now, what drew you particularly to bartending in the first place? And when did it shift from just a job to actually a career that you're really serious about?
Mm. I mean, it started actually in different kind of, how to say, like paths. So when I first started, I really didn't thought about it too much. So in Germany, as you know, we have kind of like an internship program. So you kind of like have a 3 years learning procedure. Is like saying, okay, you go to school and you go into work, right? So that's what I did, and then I went through like all the different departments, and then I said like, okay, kitchen, yeah, it's too hot, Service, it's a little bit boring. So I like bar is actually not so bad, and I like to handle with the alcohol, and people come over there, and I like to create things like on the spot, not just from the menu, right? So in the kitchen you can't do that. That's why I actually chose the path to go behind the bar, and it's like, of course, like alcohol has to be in moderation. I mean, but let's be honest, for me in the early days, I probably wasn't that experienced, so I had a few drinks a little bit too much, but all is fine, and I think that's how I actually get to it, and yeah, to work with so many ingredients, because all behind your bar, there are like so many products you actually can work with, and you are actually kind of like a brand ambassador for all those, so you have to know your things. After a while, you get you try, and then you were like, okay, that's cool, and then you get like a good sense of it.
Right. Now, we talked about it, hospitality industry, especially, when you're managing a bar, that kind of industry is pretty much known for its work hard, drink hard culture.
Yeah.
Was there ever a time where you also began to question your relationship with alcohol?
Oh yeah, many times. Actually, every every weekend, I would say like, oh, yeah, no, come on, it shouldn't be like that. I'm not gonna drink that. It's like, and then there's always an excuse coming up. It's like, oh, there's like some good friends coming up, and you didn't see them in a long time, and of course you wanna, like cheers with them, and it's gonna be a little bit hard with water. So that's why I said like, you know what, like okay, I slow down nowadays a little bit more, just say no sometimes. But it was actually a transition time. So for me, it was, in the beginning, it was like, okay, no problem, And I think we all know, in the, you recover easier when you were younger
Yes.
with alcohol. Nowadays, it takes you a little bit longer, and you mix up a little bit up. You're like, oh, it's like I gonna die, So nowadays it takes you a little bit longer to recover. But now, like before that, like back in the young days, yeah, it was not such a problem. You just still can drink. You can work. You go home. You're fine. You go next day in the morning. You go for a run.
I mean, I guess as a prerequisite, you probably would have to have a very strong liver. And right, do you still do like regular doctors medical checkups to make sure everything's okay?
Yeah, I do. I do. Believe it or not, I do. I really do. I mean, of course, like I'm aware of like drinking is not really like a good thing. I mean, let's be honest, it's actually poison, for your body. But I mean, of course, everything in everything in life, everything has to be in moderation. So for me, it's like, okay, just enjoying a couple of drinks, that's fine. And yes, my liver is fine actually. Believe it or not, I actually asked my doctor to check everything, especially my liver, obviously. And I triple checked in, and I said like, "Are you sure that's my liver? That's the thing?" It's like, "Yeah, it's correct." I was like, "Are you sure? You know what I'm drinking?" Yeah, and then he's like repeating my name. He's like, "Hey, are you Kai?" Da da da. I said, "Yeah, yeah, your liver's fine. Go ahead."
Well,
It's like,
that's great to
okay, it's
hear.
like So I'm luckily, knock on wood, I'm healthy
Yes,
as
yes,
far as I can see.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, you've been also behind the bars in several countries. You just got back from Hamburg, my hometown.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, so have you ever noticed certain patterns in how people from different countries, different cities use alcohol, maybe to cope, to celebrate, or to connect? Is there any cultural difference there?
Yeah, I do. I mean, especially when I was like in Europe, especially in Mediterranean area, I do think like people use this more to socialize even more, but very casually. And the drinking behavior is also very different. Like the time they're drinking it, it's very different. They start actually very late, like 10, 11. The streets are full, you know. And like what I experience over here, people are more indoor. Obviously, it's because it's super hot. Like in Singapore when I was there, Hong Kong as well. But I do think like it's not so much about the culture too much. I do think that's my theory. What I actually experienced through the years that it's more about the generations. So I do think like for example our generations, we are actually probably
And
still
we are millennials, right?
confused.
Just to make sure that people know we're millennials.
Yeah, I don't say my real age for now, right? But yeah, that's around that time. Anyways, yeah. So I think we will like have we enjoy drinking. Sometimes a little bit too much, but sometimes most of the time okay. But I think that now a new generation, what do you call them again? I don't
Gen
know.
Z.
Gen Z, okay, sorry. Yeah, Gen Zs, right? I feel like, which is a good thing actually, society. They're not drinking that much. That's what I felt. That like the people are like more aware of how much they drink, or they're drinking low ABV or non ABV, which is again, it's good for the health and everything. But as I said, if you drink in moderation, would be nice, and F&B would still be okay. So
I mean, this is just something I've also been talking to, one of my team members. She's Gen Z, and also to their friends. And what I notice is that they really do not like going out for a drink. So normally after work, we would just say, "Hey, let's grab a drink down at the bar." And they tell me, "No, I let's just go for a coffee, or have a slice of cake."
yeah,
So I do think it's definitely a generational thing. And in a way, it's good, right? Like you said, alcohol is somewhat poison. I think the millennial generation that we're in, we kind of also legitimize daytime drinking, especially if you are also in different countries, right? I still remember when I was visiting Sydney, you would see people at the bars already at around like 3:30, 4 p.m.
yeah,
So it's quite normalized in that way. Now, I also feel that mixologists, bartenders, they are like the therapists, right? That, for example, when we see a hairdresser, we also talk a lot to them about our lives. And in a way, you as a mixologist, as a bartender, you kind of also act like a therapist.
yeah.
Have you noticed, specific individuals who might be relying a little bit too much on alcohol? And especially, when they are at your bar, and how would you or your team actually handle that kind of situation?
I mean, of course, like people like when they're coming to our bar, I always like emphasize like, okay, they coming, they're spending their free time in our place to come over, they spend their money. Of course, you have to, let's say, the base of this kind of like conversation with those people is like, okay, you have like a foundation where you have a mutual respect, right? You cannot just treat someone like crap, because like I mean, even I'm serving you drink, I'm not the server, right? I'm not like your butler or something like that. I mean, if you're not behaving well, or you're like insulting or whatever, like all those red flags, you're gone. But of course, like I always teach my team was like, hey guys, you don't know like what the person went through today, or like in general, it's like, okay, maybe have some issues at home, maybe at work, God knows what. So to a certain extent, I would say, okay, just try to be, like polite, and always stay professional. Don't get in like somehow in a like an argument or something, because it won't work anyways. It's just wasting your time. Because that time you actually can spend with people who are really want to come over and having a good time, right? So it's always like a balancing act, right? Because I mean, we went through like so many people in different phases, like sober, tipsy, like really intoxicated. So you kind of get all the faces, all the facets from those people. How we deal that is always it's about being tactful. You can like how to read the people, see like for example the gesture, the mimic, the words they're using, right? So you kind of get a hang of it after a while. Because I mean, you're working in hospitality, so you're 24/7 with those people, more or less, and we are spending more time at work actually than at home, so or with our families, And I mean, it's the life we chose. I'm happy with. I'm okay with it, and I don't regret it. So and having a drink, I think helps occasionally sometimes.
Can you share perhaps like a really funny moment that you've encountered with
Funny.
someone, like one funny moment and one like really horrific, like the worst that someone brought up
Okay.
because of alcohol?
Okay. Huh. Okay. I mean, I think it's PG-16, right? I think that's fine. So there was one place. I think I didn't tell you that story before. So I used to work in a hotel bar before in Frankfurt. Well known, starts with a R, ends with a S, and so we had like a shift, and our bar was like an island bar. So what happened was like, okay, we have only one person sitting there because it was still early, and then he was sitting there, have a casual talk with a colleague of mine, and I'm just walking around, just doing my rounds, checking the tables and everything, and then I looked down to the person, and then I was like, oh, okay. So, and then I turned inside the bar again and asking my colleague to come over, and he's like, okay, sure, what's happening? He's like, oh, you're talking to the guy, is he cool? Yeah, he's like, yeah. Actually, there's a lady down there and giving him a head while you're talking with him. And he's like, really? No, he was speaking like just very normal, very casually, right? Like enjoying his drink, small talk, while he's getting ahead, and then he's like, okay, let me get back to him, and then he went back and said like, hey, how's the drinks? Everything okay? Yeah. Oh, by the way, can you ask the lady to come up and if you want to finish your business, please just get the room, please. But high five. So I mean that's how we roll. I think I'm not sure if it's funny. I think it's funny. For me, it's funny because the guy was like normal. He was like not like intoxicated. He was really like casually having his drink and have some pleasure down there, and we don't even see it. And I was like, I think that's funny. What it was like hilarious. I think that's hilarious. So you need something bad, like a bad story. Wow, there's so many to get from. That happens actually to a friend. I think I would say it's horrible, but I mean, for him, it's horrible, not for me. So he worked in a place which was like a very humid. It's I would say in Bangkok. If he hear this one, he knows I'm talking about him. So the place was like is a rooftop place. There was a staircase. So the staircase was like going around like this, and was like with wood, so it's not, it's gonna smell. So where I'm actually going, so there's like two ladies walking up, and they're wearing nice dresses. It was like a weekend, having a good time, having some cocktails. They're walking up, and apparently one of the ladies have probably some aches in the belly, so in the stomach. So what she did, I think she wanted to just like, fart or something. Yeah. So what happened was diarrhea later on the whole staircase, like the whole thing. And remember what I said, it was wood. So yeah, and it was open air. I mean, for me, it was hilarious. It was funny because it's not my bar, so I don't have to take care of this one. But he was like really shocked because he was off. He was drinking with us. We have like some champagne, some talk, nice conversation. Then he got not email. He got a WhatsApp from his team. Like, sir. Yeah, what's happening? Yeah, someone pooped on our staircase. Which staircase? The other one going upstairs to the roof. And then he read that, and then his face was went blank. He's like, someone shit on my staircase. I said, what? Someone shit on my staircase. I was laughing, and the thing is, like, I understand exactly what he said because I was like, oh god, I'm laughing my ass off, and the other friend, he's Italian, so he didn't got it. It's like it was straightforward. He's saying, yeah, someone shit on my staircase. So the other colleague took a little bit time to actually like wait. So literally, someone really,
Yeah.
released,
Defecated.
released themselves over there. So it was funny. And afterwards, he actually had to send an email to the lady to ask how she's doing. So that was really awkward, which he actually didn't. But the jokes are on him for at least a couple of months, Like,
I mean, it's definitely, I guess for outsiders, very hilarious, very funny.
Yeah, and for me, it was hilarious. It was not my staircase, right? But I mean, like been so long in this industry, there's like so many hilarious and funny stories actually happening. Like luckily also like some worse, no, not good stories, right? But I mean, in the end, like okay, the hilarious ones are actually more overwhelming, I would say.
What would you say in terms of your job? What's like the best thing in general? Like what makes you want to be working in in this bar industry for maybe even the next couple of decades, right? Like what makes your job so much fun for you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was like the main point was actually to create things like for the guests, like directly communicating with the people and meeting new people. And I like to network. I like to actually like know their stories. I can talk a little bit of my stories, like for example that I'm actually German, which nobody believes, right?
Yes.
Especially I don't really have a like really strong accent, like a German accent. So it's always hilarious to see people like, oh wow, you're German. It's like, I don't believe you, And then I start talking in German. They're like, okay, yeah, I believe you. So I mean, I think you encountered that as well. But it's like you're German. It's like, oh, okay, so you're like, and they always think like, oh, you're ABC or whatever, American-born Chinese, and like, it's GBC. I would say it's GBC, if you want to put it that way. So it's, I think, part of it, which makes me actually happy to stay in this, in this industry. And besides that, I actually now I'm working in Quinary, right? So I have the great opportunity to travel, to actually represent Hong Kong, represent myself, represent the bar, showcasing our hospitality and our drinks in other places, So I'm very grateful for that. And yeah, I mean, every work is hard. Some are more physical, some are more mental, some are both. And I mean, some lucky ones, they have none of that. But I think for the majority, that's the thing. And I think as long as you love your job, then just stick with it.
I agree. And is it also that your the way your body sees, like, for me, I get tired at 10 p.m. You know that. Then I have to slowly get to bed. But for you, your inner clock works differently. Has it been because you are in the industry, or has it always been that way?
I have a theory how I became like that. So I'm not getting tired at 10 p.m. I'm actually starting to be awake at 10 p.m. So I do think like because as we spoke before that my family, and they have a restaurant before, or they used to work in a restaurant before, so they're working also long hours. And while you as a child you're going to school, you don't really see them because they're already at work. So when you're coming back from school, they're taking their break, so they have to take their break. They bring like their takeaway food, and then they can take a nap and then go to work again. Right? Same thing. Same thing. So
it's like we're in the same family.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So and then I didn't saw them. So what happens? Like I was more or less by myself, so I actually be very self-sufficient. So I know how to handle like a washing machine, how to do my things, get along, not burning the house down. And yeah, so that the things happen when they close the restaurant is and then clean up and do all the things. It's very likely going to be after 12. So when they finish, and for me, you know, don't judge me. It's like I think it's like okay, I want to see them before I go to sleep, so I always stay awake until they coming back, so at least I can see them, and then I go sleep. So I think my inner clock actually turns to that time. I'm not, I cannot sleep that early. If I sleep early like you, like 10 p.m., 11, I'd probably wake up at 5 or 6 a.m. and don't know what to do with myself.
I mean, exactly that's what's happening, right? But then I guess it's also, of course, you can't go to sleep at 10 p.m. because you're working in a bar. That's not going to happen.
No. I mean, that's where actually the real business starts, to be fair. Especially on Friday and Saturdays, right? Because our real job starts when everybody else is actually finishing their job, and then they go for the food, they for dinner, and then maybe they go for watching a movie, and then they come in for drinks. So, But I mean, I don't regret that. I'm a night owl anyway, so it doesn't matter. Yeah.
I mean, how does a day in your life actually look like? So maybe weekdays and then also weekends. How does your routine typically look like from Monday to Friday?
Should I be real?
Yeah, please.
Well, what I want to is, of course, like I want to wake up at 11, 12, and maybe go for gym and stuff like that, because you need a balance. In German there's a phrase called like innerer Schweinehund. It's like you're really like fighting against your inner self and saying like, I just gonna turn around and just take a nap longer, and then you're waking up and then you actually just go to work. So that mostly happens to me. I'm not proud of it, and I try to be better, to be more balanced, but that's more or less like how it looks like. Very boring, very simple. Just go to bed, wake up, take a shower, go to work. So, but
how does your work look like? Because I know that. I know that you actually have lots of strategy meetings as well. You're not just there at the bar to mix the drinks and talk to your customers. You actually have like proper strategy meetings where you talk about, I guess, the menu. How does that look like?
Yeah. So like when you're talking about like menu things, like that's actually a process which we actually, like, let's say, taking our time, like around 10, 11 months really to go through like, okay, what we think, what topic we want to go for. So, I mean, as a proper German, like I'm very specific, okay, saying like, okay, that's a deadline, 2 or 3 months, okay, we figure out which is the topic. Okay, after the topic, we're gonna split into groups because I want to, for the menu development, I want everybody to be involved. Doesn't matter if you're a junior or a senior, of course, you have your limitations, but we are all a team, so we're all helping each other with our ingredients or our creations. And after that, we're like, okay, coordinating with our designers. So luckily we have a design team, which is very helpful, marketing team. So they come in with a different angle. So they see like, maybe we should present it like this, or we should maybe like add into this one. So they have a different palette and a different mindset. Because we are probably just stuck too much in the process already, so that we cannot see the angle from the customers or from the guests. So that's also a good thing. And then before that, like the last 2-3 months, we actually give the designers, marketing time to actually build up the menu, like videographing, photographs, designers doing like the menu, all that stuff, activation, social media, etc. So everything is like according to that. That's just for menu. And every month we do actually have like a team meeting because you don't want to things build up. You want to also like keep everybody on the same page. Like, okay, what's happening next month? How was the last month? There's anything to need to talk about? Because the thing is like you cannot just build up those things and just start to talk about things. You know what I mean? You cannot just like build up everything and the tensions and suddenly everything explodes, right? So I think it's a good release that like every month, like we're gonna just casually, after work, having a beer, having some drinks, have some food, and then just talk about like, oh, how was last month, and then what's next month's upcoming. Like any events, collaborations, and stuff like that. So, of course, they have their responsibilities. I have my responsibilities. So yeah, I have to do like meetings also all over, like with our bosses, new projects, new events. Yeah, it's part of it. Actually, I'm not so much behind the bar, which I actually feel a little bit sad because it's still itching. It's like
Okay.
just to doing drinks sometimes. Look cool behind the bar, shaking around. So yeah, that's
Right,
something.
right. Just now we talked about Gen Z not really being into, a whole drinking scene. It's just not something that they're into. What's your take on it? Like, how can we make sure, or how would you want to make sure that the bar industry is still going to survive for the next few decades? Is there anything that you're doing to attract Gen Z who are not really into alcohol?
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is actually, especially I think in Hong Kong, I have to say people adapt very fast, or we have to adapt. I mean, you cannot really change like the mindset too much, like from the people. It's what it is. So you have to work with that, and of course you just adjust it to it accordingly. You cannot just roll with it, and just cross your fingers and then think like hope for the best. So what we're doing is like, of course, like we develop like drinks with the consideration of this kind of like issue, right? Or circumstances which are changing. So that's how we actually do. So we actually adjusting like the ABV a little bit, and maybe like certain events or certain like activations we gonna more tailored to this kind of like Gen Z kind of like mindset. I mean, luckily the millennials are still very much, like how you say, like on the field. So I'm not worried about that too much. So when millennials still, I would say, as the audience, like for our place and what I observe, it's a smaller amount. There's always exception to the rules. Not every millennial is like a non-ABV drinker. And again, I'm really happy that the people actually more considerate to drinking. I mean, just imagine like myself. I'm not sure about you, but myself when I was like like 18, 17, I was not that responsible. All right.
Yeah.
So you're just asking your older brother from your friend to get like some alcohol from the gas station, and then you give him the money, and then you're drinking it later because you're not like you're not legal to drink and buy alcohol. But hey, don't
Yeah.
try
I
this at
mean, I mean, that's something that I've definitely also experienced living in the States, where the legal drinking age is 21,
It's
right?
nuts.
So
It's
you
nuts.
can drive when you're 16, but
You
you
can
can
go
only
to
drink when you're
you can go to the
21.
military. You can do everything except drinking with 21. All right. This is
So
it's hilarious. I just find it really hilarious.
I mean, that's why I've always encountered, parties where the older friends would go and get the alcohol. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still quite easy to distribute that, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it is. It is. I
absolutely.
mean, my theory is like what I experienced with friends in America with this 21 thing. I do think. I mean, it's just like okay, like just don't get caught. Just like I mean, it's everywhere like this. But if you're like 21, and let's say you really like saying I'm not drinking since until 21, you say like, oh, I'm gonna miss out a lot, because we're like 18, 19. Usually people can start with 18, I think, in most countries, and then you're probably just like, oh, I'm missing something out. So they're gonna drink like themselves like nuts. Like at 21,
Yeah,
they're like just like,
yeah,
okay, I have to run, like in terms of
yes.
like drinking. And by that time, like most of us probably drinking since 3 years, so we know our limits more or less. And then I think like they just try to prove themselves a little bit something. Oh yeah, I'm 21. Okay, now like I'm gonna go piss drunk somewhere in Cancun or whatever. And yeah, I think that's not a good thing. I mean, just my theory, to be honest.
Right.
I mean, I'm happy in Germany we can drink with 16 already. I mean, uh,
Legally, yes.
soft liquor, yeah. But I
Now,
mean, it's just a reference point, I would say.
yeah, I totally get what you mean. Now, I wanted to ask you one more last question, just to kind of also inspire the listeners.
Yes.
So what kind of advice would you give to especially young professionals who are entering into F&B, who want to enjoy the culture but also stay grounded? What is a key advice that you would like to give them?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. So for me, it was like, because the thing is, like, of course, work is not that easy. And nowadays, we get influenced by a lot of, like, social media, a lot of things, happening. You see on certain channels, you see here and there, So you get influenced that much a lot. So when people want to enter this kind of, like, I would say industry, this kind of work, I think they have a very much a false, like, impression of, like, how it is, like, seriously, because, like, I don't say, like, all back in the days was better, but it was definitely tougher and more. You'll get very humble very fast, Over here they think like, oh yeah, when I join this bar, XY bar, I gonna travel to Barcelona, I'm gonna do drinks there, I'm gonna be a superstar. It's like, no, take the towel, wipe the floor first or something like that, polish the glasses first, do that stuff, So I think over here, what my message would be is, like, don't get influenced by, what you always see, is, I think, like a general advice. It's not just for the job, but then stay humble, really stay humble, and just show respect, to the craft, and just be consistent, have your passion. Even let's say everybody starts somewhere, It's like, and I think Hong Kong we call it like a white paper, right? Who someone has nothing on their CV yet, so everybody starts like that, So I do think, like, have patience, show you're dedicated, show you're hungry for knowledge, right? And just show you're interested. If you don't ask anything, then we assume you know it. That's actually my advice. Is just like, no question is dumb, I would say. If you're asking a question, that means, like, you're curious, you're thinking about it, you really, like, you want to learn it. So I respect that. If you can just ask me stuff until my ear bleeds, but I'm happy, that I'm happy to answer everything, like what I can do. But then I can see, okay, someone is really, like, eager to do that, and not just for other reasons, So I do think, like, just be passionate, be consistent, be humble. I think those are the essential points.
And I mean, it's such a great message, such a great advice, which is also applicable to anyone, whether you're in a bar, whether you're in F&B, whether you're working in finance and banking, right? So definitely very, very much it resonates with a lot of people out there. 100%. So I mean, I've anticipated this conversation with you, Kai, for a really long time. I'm glad that we were able. You've had this
for a long time, I'm sure.
I'm glad we were able to finally make it. And, today Kai reminded us that being behind the bar is so much more than just mixing drinks. It's really about reading people, holding space, and understanding the deeper stories that come with every order. So whether Kai is managing a high-performing team or serving someone their favorite cocktail, I think he really brings heart, humor, and a sharp sense of responsibility to his craft. So if you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. It really helps us to reach more listeners who want to thrive through change, through being a misfit. And don't forget to share this episode with a friend or colleague who could use some encouragement right now. So thank you so much for tuning in to the Thriving Misfits podcast. Until the next time, keep on thriving, Misfits.
Thank you very much, guys, and have a good day. Bye-bye. Take care. Thank you for the invite. Bye. Take care.